stream. Um, about excuse me, I got a little cold, a little congestion, allergy season and shit. But so basically about how our spirit is always expanding, right? And the first thing you gotta understand, like I said, is our spirits are always expanding, like constantly expanding. Now, at the rate of how much we expand, at the speed how much we expand and how much we are actually expanding in itself is up to us as individuals. You see what I'm saying? And what we're doing in our own lives. But basically, what I'll say is the main two ways how our spirits expand, or the main two ways how your spirit expands in general, is either externally and internally. And I'm gonna break it down. Internally is things like knowledge, um, like anything that deals with expansion internally. So that would be like broadening your knowledge, broadening your imagination, reaching enlightenment, which is nothing more than but inner light, enlightenment. So that's like your inner light. That's tied to imagination and shit. So basically, um, this is why it's so important too to go more internal. A lot of Eastern philosophy, a lot of Eastern culture teaches more so about going internal, and Western teaches you more so about going external. But they both have their benefits. Neither is good or bad. They both should be used. When you can find that complete balance um, of East and West as far as internal and external, that's when you reach complete wholeness. You see what I'm saying? But basically, like I said, things internally is like things like broadening your imagination, broadening your creativity, broadening your knowledge. The more knowledge you build, the more knowledge you have, the more knowledge you accumulate, the more your spirit grows. Also, externally, now we talk about ways our spirit grows externally, is things like anything that we do in our lives that's actually physical. So it could be just walking. You know what I'm saying? That's a type of expansion because that's an experience. You see what I'm saying? And your spirit grows with experience. So it could be anything. You could be a fast food worker. That's an experience. That's broadening your spirit, right? You could be a NASCAR driver. You could be an athlete. You could be a poet. You could any job you work, a doctor, a lawyer, trash man. All these are forms. You may think it's funny and put others down, but no, these are all forms of expansion. You see what I'm saying? Because expansion externally is nothing more, nothing less than you being into an experience. And the more experience you get, the more know-how you have. Your spirit is much more broader now. It has a broader know-how, and that is what this is what expands our spirit by all the experiences that we go in. So I could go around and be like, man, for the next 5 years, I just want to start cutting trees down. That's gonna expand my spirit because that's a form of expansion and contraction. And again, shout out to the subconscious community, um, cause we talk a lot about this topic, and whatnot. But back to what I was saying, so I could just be like, man, for the next 5 years, I just want to cut down trees. That's a form of expansion. That's a form of expanding my spirit because I have more experience in that area. So anything physically is a part of external. I'm sorry, anything physical that we do is a part of expanding our spirit. Now I told you as well, anything we do internal is a form of expanding our spirit too. But these are the main ways. These are the main two ways you expand your spirit. So if you want to boost, boost the speed of you expanding your spirit, just broaden your imagination. Take time every day or every so and then to go inside yourself and broaden your imagination. Dive deeper into your imagination. Try to make that imagination broader. Try not to make it just about the third dimension, the earth realm that we're already in. Try to broaden for something else. That's what astral travel is. Astral travel is nothing more, nothing less than just the ability to have a broad imagination. So when you jump into that imagination, you're in that world. That world is not here, but you as a being, as a spirit, is in that world. When you're daydreaming or you're actually dreaming sleep, that's astral projection. Or when you're deep into your imagination, that's astral projection. Lucid dreaming, all that is the same thing. You're in the same world. But the more broader your imagination is, the further you can travel. That's one of your macabres is your imagination. If you don't have a broad imagination and you only have imagination for the earth, right? Then you're never gonna travel anything else. And you're gonna end up that when that person passes away, they're just gonna end up reincarnating. That's why it's important to have um, a broad imagination. That's why a lot of Native Americans and Indians they had dream catchers. You catching dreams, but that's a whole nother video. So I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But yeah, the types of dreams that you have lets you know where you are spiritually. If you're always having dreams 24/7 about just Earth, 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 I'm not saying anything is wrong, but if you always have dreams about Earth, then that lets you, your spirit knows that where you're going when you pass away, it hasn't broadened enough to go anywhere else. See what I'm saying? You can't ascend not being broader. You can't ascend just constantly doing the same thing. And what's the point of ascension then? You're not ascending anything. The term ascending has nothing to do with Earth, or else you wouldn't call it ascending. You're ascending up out of something. You're rising above something. You can't just be just lost into the world every single day into oh I'm ascending. You're not ascending. You're lost in the world. That's the whole point. But anyway, um, so like I said, external ways of building and expanding your spirit is anything you do physically. Anything. Even if it's just drawing on the concrete every single day. That's a form of expansion. Now the more broader and extreme of an activity that you choose to jump into lets you know how much more faster that broadening process or how much more expansive it'll be. But everything that you do physically is an expansion. Even internally. Every thought, that's an expansion. Every imagination, that's an expansion. The more you broaden these things, the more you expand your spirit. The more knowledge, the same thing. That's internal as well. Um, I'm sorry. That's a form of expansion. And when you can go inside yourself, anytime you can go inside yourself and find the answers. That's a form of enlightenment. Anytime you go inside yourself and you can broaden your imagination, that's a form of enlightenment. You see what I'm saying? Anytime you can go inside yourself in general, the ability to go inside yourself in general is a form of enlightenment because you're going within. Anytime you learn something external outside of you, that's a form of illumination because something externally illuminated your light. So you didn't enlighten yourself. You didn't go within and brighten and turn on your own spark, your own light. You went outside of you and learned something from external source, and that illuminated you. So an external thing illuminated you. But neither are right or wrong. I'm just letting you know what these energies are, and they're all needed at different times and different. You know what I'm saying, for different things. Um, but yeah, that's the main two ways that you expand. You expand your spirit externally and internally. And with that, I'm gonna cut this video short. I just want to touch on that. Let you know that we as beings, as spirits, as people, as humans, whatever, we're always expanding, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole point. We come here, we take many different vessels. Earth happens to be one of them, and that's why we're here to learn and gain experience. To the point that when we do, it may take when we talk about ascending and rising above this reality, it may take others. It may take some longer than others for sure. You know, depending on that spirit and their journey, their path, and their purpose. But at the same time, it's like we're all gonna eventually reach that spot, reach that point where we rise above this reality, and eventually get to the point where the higher the reality we get, the more or less dense it is. You know, we live in the earth realm right now. This is a very low dense, slow moving, heavy, low vibrational realm reality. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a lot of pain here, a lot of negative emotions because they're deep emotions, heavy emotions. They're deep. That's why they say they feel you holding all that weight, or they say weight on your shoulders. That's what weight on your shoulders is. They don't talk about the physical weight, but they talk about weight on your shoulders. So being down here, you deal with a lot of circumstances that may put you up under and make you feel like you got, like I said, weight on your shoulders and make you feel like you got to endure a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? But it's not always like that in every realm of reality. I mean, every realm of reality deals with a form of what you consider negative energy to an extent, but it's not filtered in the same way. See, I'm not trying to say that in other realms of reality there is no negativity, because it is, and in some realms of realities it can be more. But at the same time, the higher you rise or whatever, the more you expand, the more you ascend, you start realizing that it's a form of negativity everywhere, but it's not dealing with the same things. So it's not in the same format. It's a much more lighter realm of reality. So it doesn't deal with the same stuff that you deal with here. That may, don't get me wrong, that may take another shape or form, but it don't be as dense. Like, it's hard to explain. It's negative and positive in every realm of reality you go to. But the higher you ascend, it's like it gets less dense. So it's not the same heavy waters that you deal with. You know what I'm saying? For instance, I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna check out, right? But what I mean by this is when you dream, you go to the astral realm, right? You go into that realm, right? The dream world, astral world, same thing. What I'm saying is, if you pay attention to it, I'm not saying every single time, but 9 times out of 10, when you have a negative dream or a nightmare, you're usually in Earth. Like, pay attention. 9 times out of 10, you have a negative dream, usually on Earth. And you be like, oh, but how do you know? What I'm saying is, if you're seeing any houses, any grass, any trees, any cars, any woods, anything like that, that deals with Earth. So, 9 times out of 10, when you have nightmares, you're usually in the Earth realm. It's rare. Well, I can speak for myself, but I'm gonna say for me, it's rare that when I have a dream and the dream that I'm in has nothing to do with Earth and I'm in a whole other realm of reality or world. It's rare I have a nightmare. I don't think I've ever had a nightmare being in another world that wasn't Earth that I can remember. If I did, it might have been one, but I doubt it. I doubt it because I can't remember. I say I don't think I've ever had a negative dream that wasn't on Earth. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I know I'm getting too far ahead of you. But don't mean to ramble all day. Let's take the time to speak about some things. Um, as far as spirit expansion and how we expand our spirits physically and spiritually. And with that being said, I'm gonna cut this live short. This live was about how our spirits, how us as humans, how us as being, people in general, how we expand.